Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this. It's gonna be a reflection today. It's just gonna be me reflecting. But the idea behind this video is gonna be purpose, but it's also gonna be understanding. So the reason why I wanted to make this video was because I had a dream, and in this dream, I was in, we'll say, the fourth dimension, right? And it looked a little bit like the place from Interstellar where he's at, and there's all these coordinates and all these lines. But instead of lines, they were like a fabric of like mattress, right? And but but you could like touch it and move it around, kind of like Interstellar, right? So I remember everything I did affected certain other parts of the space that I was in, and it affected how it worked. And I was just tinkering with it, messing with it, trying to understand what everything did by trial and error, right? And after a while, somebody came in, and this other person said, "Do you want me to show you how this works?" And I said, "I'm worried that if you teach me, my brain's gonna melt because it's so much information. Like it's a whole different dimension with all these different rules where all these things affect all these other things." And he said, "Yes, that can happen, but it doesn't have to happen." He says, "In the world that you live in, you there's an infinite amount of uses for certain things, right? Say a credit card. You can the credit card you can use it for, to throw it at something, or to use it like as a spoon if you don't have a spoon. There's an infinite amount of uses for that credit card, but its purpose is to pay for things, right?" And he says, "You don't need to understand everything. You just need to understand the purpose of why this world, why this dimension works the way it does, to what end it is." And I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was interesting because in my life, a lot of the times when I'm making choices, I'm trying to think of all the different outcomes and trying to find the right choice. And I'm always worried about making the right choice, and the way I go about making the right choice is by trying to see every possibility. And he says, and the way I interpreted it when I woke up was, if you focus on the purpose, that's what matters most, because your brain will melt and you'll get lost in trying to find every possible outcome, right? Another analogy that he used in my dream was those people that, and I don't know if they're autistic, but some people that are very, very smart numerically, but have a hard time understanding basic communication, basic body language, understanding emotions, right? And he says the reason why those people, they're really smart and they can hold a lot more information than most people can, but it does nothing for them despite being smarter, because the way their brain operates is they're trying to find every possible outcome. They're looking for safety and understanding it and all the little informations and all the possible outcomes, and that isn't necessary. What's necessary is for you to understand the purpose of things. That's a more efficient way of storing It's kind of a basic concept, but I thought it was really interesting and I thought it was cool. So I thought I would kind of reflect on this video. Maybe it's of some use to somebody out there to reflect a little bit and be like, do I ever overanalyze? Do I ever try to find safety in figuring out every little detail of something rather than focusing on the purpose? Because another thing this person mentioned was you will start to understand the laws and the limitations of everything here once you understand the purpose and you see it in action. So instead of obsessing by trial and error, you will start to understand it once you put it into practice and try to understand the why of things. And that ties into something else that I heard in a book that I was listening to. I think it was 12 Rules for Life from Jordan Peterson. And he was saying that sometimes people don't understand why they do certain things. They think they do or they masquerade it, but you can find the intention, the real intention, based off of the consequences of that action. So, you know, say, oh man, I can't think of a really good explanation. I'm going to try to think of one on the top of my head. Say somebody preaches for peace, right? A president, right? A president preaches for peace, but in search of that peace, they start a couple of wars, and during their term, a lot of people die and a lot of horrible things happen. Were they really a peacemaker? Were they really after peace? No, maybe what they were after was power. Did they gain power through starting these wars? Maybe this person gained immense money, immense power, and a lot of connections. So he preached for peace, but what he was actually for was power, money, and connections. So that kind of ties into this because if if you try to see the purpose, um, you can figure out how things are operating and how things work. And if you can see the outcomes, then you can also see the real purpose that sometimes people don't even know. Even the person, even that president, he thinks he's doing it for peace, but he doesn't know that he's actually in search of power. So, a bit of a reflection there. Was there something else? I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to add. I think that was it. I think that was it. Yeah. If you saw this video and found it interesting, leave it a like. Let me know what you think. Yeah. I want to do more of these reflection videos, but I also want to know what you guys think. So, thank you for watching. Have a good day. God bless you.